Greetings, everyone, my friends, my colleagues, my neighbors, my community, above all, my family. Today, I feel compelled to speak. I haven't done videos in a while. I haven't spoken in a while. But I really feel compelled to speak about this topic today because today is that special day for it. I'm talking about Father's Day. Today is the 19th of June 2022 and it's Father's Day. I don't want to talk about Father's Day per se, but I want to talk about a particular happening that always takes place on Father's Day. But let me introduce myself first. My name is Weare. I live in the United Kingdom, in the West Midlands. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. I'm gonna call myself a single mother because it's pertinent to what I'm going to talk about. It will probably shed some light, or it will probably help people realize that what I'm talking about, I'm not biased. I'm just being honest, realistic, and truthful. Every single year, I get this message from many different people. A lot of them women like me. A lot of them single mothers like me. But at times I even get these messages from a few men. And I know most of them mean well. But the truth of the matter is, I'm one of those people that likes to be honest, that likes to correct misconceptions and misperceptions. Right. So there is this notion that is always spread around, especially on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, even on TikTok, the most recent platform. It's being spread around, and I think it's wrong, which is why I've felt prompted to speak today. I was putting off this project that I've been planning to do, and that is to talk about topics that a lot of people do not talk about, to talk about topics that are lost in the system most of the times. Whether it's because people are afraid of the repercussions, whether it's because people are afraid they'll lose friends or family, whether it's because people are afraid they will be judged, or in a nutshell, people are afraid that they'll end up standing alone if they venture into these topics. So this project, I'm going to do it in the form of a podcast and videocast. I will record as video like I'm doing, and I'll put those videos on my social media channels. That's my YouTube channel, my Facebook, my TikTok, depending on how long the video is. And then the audio bit of it will be the podcast. Right, let's be clear. I'm talking today about women who feel they should be hailed, they should be celebrated as parents on Father's Day. I'm talking about women who feel they should be hailed as fathers for their children because they are raising their children on their own. Now, when we start believing in a notion, we will recruit supporters. And I'll be honest, back in the days when I was bitter about parenting my son on my own, I used to sometimes join in these conversations where we would basically be saying negative things about men for not helping us look after our kids, for not marrying us so we can look after our kids together, or for breaking our relationship just because we got pregnant. But the honest truth is, even in my bitter stage of this journey, I never saw myself as taking the place of a dad, taking the place of a father, because I believe that's not possible. I cannot be a man. No matter what I do, I cannot be a man, let alone be a father to somebody. I think when people say to single moms, happy Father's Day to those that are doubling up, I think people get this misconception that being a father means buying clothes for your child, paying school fees for your child, feeding your child, sheltering your child, a roof over your child, all these physical things. And I'm not saying it's not. It's part of it. It's part of being a father. But those things that I've stated, they are also part of being a mother. Both mother and father can do these things. But then there are specific things that a mother does that a father does not do. And there's things that a father does that a mother does not do. Right? It takes two to make a child. So you can never have a child the natural way by yourself as a woman without a man. So this is where I completely refuse to say that I am doubling up as a father. It's not possible. I didn't sleep with myself to conceive this child. And no woman sleeps with herself to conceive this child. So when you say you are doubling up, you are basically saying your child does not have a father. And that is not true. Every child has a father, unless there was artificial insemination of some sort. That's a different topic altogether. I mean, if a child was created and born the natural way, the inception of a child was the natural way, then you cannot say that child has no father. Even if the father dies, you can say the late father. So that means even if the father is not living with you, he is still the father. Even if he's not playing his part as a father, if he's not providing or whatever, he is still a father. Why do I say that? When we eliminate the father from a child's life through bitterness or whatever, we are killing the possibility of that father changing and then being there for his child or his children. We are killing that possibility. Everybody does wrong at one point or another, but you always have an opportunity. You always have, God has given us that permission to repent, to change when we realize what we are doing wrong. So when you instill your own bitterness into your child because father is not there, then you are killing that possibility of that father of your child ever changing or ever being in that fatherly role. And I'll tell you why I'm against that. No matter what happens between you and your child's father, it does not automatically mean that that child does not love his father. It does not automatically mean that that child does not want his father. It does not automatically mean that even if the child knows that the father is not holding his fort, he's not holding his end of the bargain, they stop wanting their father, they stop loving their father. It does not necessarily mean that a child's hope to ever relate with his dad or her dad changes. We all live on hope. And if you've lost hope or faith with your child's dad, it does not give you the right to kill your children's hope or your child's hope. It's up to them to lose this hope. In fact, I think you should be encouraging your children to remain hopeful. And that is why I am against women coming on Father's Day saying, oh, happy Father's Day to me because I'm doubling up. Happy Father's Day to all single mothers because you're doubling up. What do you benefit from that? What do you even benefit from saying it? There is a day that is specifically, especially allocated to celebrating women as mothers, Mother's Day. And you are celebrated both by men and women. You are celebrated by your children's fathers, by your brothers, by your own fathers, uncles, grandfathers. You are celebrated as a mother by society, by community. And nobody interferes with that. And yet come Father's Day, you still want to be there, being hailed, being celebrated. Honestly, is it not enough that on your special day as mothers you are celebrated? You are given presents. You are thanked. You know, a lot of people do a lot of things just to appreciate you being a mother. Why take the joy out of Father's Day for fathers simply because you are looking after your child, whom you would look after anyway, even if the father was there holding his fort? You would still do your best for your child. You wouldn't do less just because the dad is around. No. It might feel less of a burden because you are sharing the weight of it, but that does not mean you are not doing your best. If you don't do your best for your child because father is there, you are actually doing yourself a disservice, because every parent is naturally supposed to endeavor to give their best to their children as individuals or in unison. So please, I have come today to ask women, to ask mothers, to ask especially single mothers to please respect that special day for the man, just as they respect your special day for you as mothers. Again, respect your children's love for their dad. Respect your children's right to remaining hopeful in terms of the fathers that are absent. I'll tell you a little story, a little personal story. And I'm telling this with the hope that it will help someone understand what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that when this story happened, I was bitter or anything, but I still did not close my eyes to the lesson that stood in the middle of that story, right? A lot of people probably that know me probably remember that I was in a car accident in 2017, and I had been told, this is it, you're going to be in a wheelchair permanently. You will never be able to walk without somebody assisting you or without assistive equipment such as walking frames or walking sticks or crutches or whatever. And yeah, for over 3 years I was walking with aids because I couldn't walk on my own. And as I said when I started this video, that I have been a single mom. My son is a young man now. He's 25, almost 26. So he's grown up. He's doing his own thing. He's now an adult, hopefully starting his own family at some point. But I did raise him on my own, not totally, because I had a community around me. I had family around me. And this is another reason why I find it difficult to comprehend why women insist on wanting to be celebrated on Father's Day as if they have lived in a bubble. If actually, if as a single mom, you have blocked male influence into your children, especially if you have boy children like I have a boy child, then I'll be honest with you, you've been doing a disservice to your son. So being a father doesn't always necessarily mean biologically. There are things that boys, young boys, need to learn. There are things that young boys should have somebody instill in them to prepare them for adulthood, to prepare them for manhood, to prepare them for fatherhood, so that they don't end up deserting their children the same way single mothers say their exes have deserted their children. To break that cycle, we have to be involved as women. And it starts by us respecting the time for men, the place for men, the titles for men. No matter how many times you tell yourself, I'm doubling up as a father, you will never, ever be a father. Never, ever. Even if you provide everything. And, you know, in this mindset that I'm doubling up, a lot of single parents have ended up spoiling their child or their children because they are overcompensating. I know what I'm talking about. I was also raised by a single mom, and there are times I used to observe that, whether it was out of guilt, whether it was out of pity for her kids, for us as kids, or whether it was anger or bitterness that she was left to do this on her own. I'm not sure. But there are some things that she would do for us that I knew were extra, over and above expectations. And for some children, it then made them become spoiled, unable to stand on their own 2 feet, unable to learn things in the right time frame, learn things in the right milestones, because everything was being done for us. And that posed some struggles when we became adults. I'm not saying that I'm ungrateful that we were given everything we ever needed, because my mom held 3 jobs to provide for us, to make sure that we were not lacking in anything at all. In fact, we had more than what some children with both parents working had. And this is where the overcompensation bit comes in. There is nothing wrong with giving your children the best, but just make sure that your motive for doing it is the right one. I had an advisor when I was growing up who once said to me, you can do the best thing on this planet and be held by everybody and be held with the utmost respect by everybody because you're doing these great things or because you've done this great thing. But the reality of the matter is, if your motive for doing that great thing was not right, between you and your God, all the praise you're getting is actually going into the wrong hands. that motive, if it was not a positive motive, then whatever the good you've done becomes wrong. It might bring about positive results or positive change or improve somebody's life, but the benefit is on the receiver. Yourself, you're actually doing yourself an injustice. I'll give an example. If I bought some food for somebody who is struggling with her family or his family, but I do that not because I want to help them. I do that because I can. I do that because I want people to see that I can. I do that because I want people to fear me. I'm looking for any way of showing off the fact that I'm better than that person. I'm better than maybe many other people. And so I'm doing this to show off. Well, that will be good for the person you've given that food, because they are not going to die of starvation. But it doesn't make you a good person. This is what I'm saying. So anyway, let me tell this story. So I was in this car accident. I was told you're never gonna walk again. And something inside me told me only God can decide that. So I decided to fight for my own recovery. And slowly I did recover. Right. I was never with my son's dad from when he was a baby. We broke up when he was a little baby. And by the time I was in this car accident, I think he was 20 or 21. I think he was 21. Yeah, he was turning 21 actually the following month, because that was in September, and he was turning 21 in October. So he was a grown-up when I had this car accident, and I had not been with his dad all this while, and I had hardly communicated with his dad all this while. But at that point, I was very grateful that I had managed to learn the wrongs that I was doing myself and had made amends with his dad, such that my son had a relationship with his father. So when I had this accident and I was not able to work, he was studying, my son was studying, so I was not able to work, and I was not able to afford a lot of stuff that he needed to complete his studies. I then was not embarrassed or ashamed or afraid to reach out to his dad to say, look, this is the situation. I've been in this car accident. I can't work. I can't look after our son. If you are able to help, please, can you help out? And I'll tell you, maybe we can talk about some of the hidden conversations that I was talking about, lost conversations, some of the lost conversations that stem from our attitudes. That me swallowing my pride and asking for help revealed and taught me a lot of lessons, because he actually did start to help out. He helped our son a lot while I was stuck in Wales, and when I came back to West Midlands, he helped me as well. And he never asked for anything back. I tell you, if I had still been bitter about him being absent in the past, I probably would have, because of pride, not even asked for his help. And if he had offered it, I probably would have rejected it, because I still want to hold that title that I raised this child on my own. But one reality here is, once a parent, always a parent. Even if your child grows up to be 50, as long as you're alive, you will remain his mom, you will remain his dad. So yeah, whatever point he was able to help his own son, to me it was hallelujah. Thank God, because my son didn't have to suffer just because I was in that position. That is one of the other reasons why I keep insisting, please don't feed into this habit of thinking you have to be held happy Father's Day on Father's Day because you're raising the child on your own. And then what actually literally happened was that while I was not well, at some point our son became unwell as well. But the state I was in, I wouldn't have been able to do anything for him. So who was there for him? His dad. We are living in diaspora. We don't have aunties, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, and older sisters or younger sisters here to help us like we normally do in Africa. You know, where we say a child is raised by the whole community. We don't have those relatives here. So my option was only to ask him, nobody else. And he owned up, took his position, and did what he had to do as a father to his son. So you can imagine if I had killed this hope in my child, if I had transferred my bitterness of his absence in the past into my son, what would have happened? I do not want to disrespect anyone or upset anyone. I'm just being realistic here. I'm just being honest. I'm telling the truth as I see it. Single parents, you do a lot. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I didn't hear about it. I've walked that journey. You do a lot. A lot. And God sees it. And God will bless you for it. And your children know it and they appreciate it. Even the absent fathers will know it. And though they might not tell you, it does not nullify the good that you do. But I can assure you, it does not make what you're doing better just because you also claim the title of fatherhood. It doesn't. If it's at 90%, if we were to put it on scales, if you were doing 90% as a parent to your child, as a mother to your child, just by claiming that you are also covering as a dad, it does not increase it to 95 or to 100. It will remain on that 95. So why not just celebrate the best you're doing for your child in your own capacity without borrowing other capacities to it? Before I finish, I don't really want this video to be long. Before I finish, I would like to say there is a spiritual side to parenting. There is an emotional side to parenting. There's a psychological side to parenting. And those three things are also the main reasons why I keep saying you can never be a dad. The emotional expression, the emotional gift that a male gives to his child is not something that you can replicate as a woman. The way a man is spiritual is different to the way a woman is spiritual in terms of parenting. This is why we were created opposite sex. So if your child is not having a father's input, that side of it is lacking. You can't cover it yourself. The sugar that you buy does not cover a dad's position. The sadza that you buy, the clothes that you buy, the toys, the private schools that you send them, the high class things that you give your child from day one to whenever you finish parenting, if you ever finish, it will never replace the position of a dad. It will never transfer to how dad would have done it. And trust me, your child will always be wishing, I wish my dad could have done that. And I also know about that because I was raised by a single mom, which means my dad was not there. My dad passed away when I was a little kid. I hardly remember him. In fact, I don't think I even knew him to the point of remembering him, because I was about 3, 4 when he passed away. And he can't be blamed for that because he didn't choose to die. But it doesn't change the fact then that I was raised by a single mom. And when we generalize things like this, single moms, you are doubling up, we really are messing our children's minds. Instead of nurturing positivity, we are actually dishing out bitterness, resentment, and all these things in our children. There are many reasons why people become single parents. And you can't attach those reasons to you saying, I'm doubling up. Nobody ever says, Happy Father's Day to me because I'm doubling up as a dad because their dad died, or because their dad left me, or because their dad is ill, or because their dad is disabled, or because their dad is, nobody can actually do that. And you just complicate children's lives. You confuse them. Just stay in your lane. Do your best in your lane and be respected in your lane. Be appreciated in your lane, and your children will love and appreciate you in your lane. If your children want to make efforts towards relating with their dad, you should facilitate that, because you can't change who your child's father is. You can't, no matter how much you wish it, no matter how angry you may be with them, no matter how much you may hate them, you cannot change who your child's father is. You could change the name on the birth certificate, but you can't change biology. And you could cover these things from your children when they are little, but as they grow and learn, these days actually, children are learning biology from a very early age. They will know. And at some point, you're going to make yourself look very questionable in the eyes of your children. You might think I'm spoiling them, I'm giving them everything, and I'm supplying everything, I'm buying everything, I'm taking them everywhere, and all these things. But if your reason for doing it is just to score points, or if you then married with bitterness and all this, I'm doubling up business, you actually risk losing the respect of your children when you're actually doing all that you should be doing, but for the wrong reason. Thank you for watching this video when you're going to watch this video, and thank you for listening to the podcast when you do listen to the podcast. I hope what I've said has touched something in you, has triggered some thoughts in you, and I really would like people to share their thoughts about what I've said today. Be them in agreement or in disagreement. Let's talk about this. My intention is to be talking about all lost conversations. But when I say lost conversations, I'm talking about those things that we never talk about because of fear, because of shyness, because of embarrassment, because they are said to be taboo. But things that burn inside you, things that you wish we could talk about, things that you wish you could talk about with somebody. I'm putting myself out there. And I'm doing so because if I look at my timeline, if I look at my life, I've experienced things that you can't even imagine just by looking at me. And I've survived them mostly because I allow myself to think about these things, and I allow myself to reflect on these things, and I allow myself to pick lessons that I should carry forward, and I allow myself to discard things that do not help me. Now, if I don't have that personal conversation with myself, I would have never been able to move forward and be here today as you see me or as you hear me. A lot of things could have taken me down permanently. A lot of things could have taken my life permanently had I held on to what I've been told without reflecting on it. By that, I'm talking about traditions, I'm talking about cultures, I'm talking about religions, and I'm talking about biases. I'm talking about, what do you call it? Notions. I like to use the word notion a lot. I'm talking about myths. There are a lot of myths surrounding a lot of things that we experience in life. And if you never reflect on these things, sometimes you become a permanent follower, and you become a permanent follower that follows things that you don't even understand, things that you don't even know about, things that you don't even reflect on, and realize that there are a lot of avenues that can stem from the same thing, and these avenues are there so that you can pick one that best suits you, one that best suits your situation. An example of a lost conversation is when somebody who has suffered abuse is told to zip it, never talk about it, because it makes you are revealing that you are filthy. I'll talk about that at one point as a topic. Being told to shut up about abuse, and yet you are dying internally, you are dying emotionally, you are dying physically, you are dying progressively. You become this shell. You lose yourself in your quest to remain muted, as you've been told traditionally, culturally, religiously, you name it. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for giving me feedback. Please do not hesitate to give me back feedback. If you want to comment after watching the video, if you want to comment after listening to the podcast, if you want to comment by directly messaging me, all those options, I'm open to them. And because I trust they will also actually reveal some other topics that we could talk about. And I promise I will not be bringing anybody's names in the topics that we are going to cover as we go on, unless given express permission to do so. So I welcome your comments. I will put my social media platform handles so that you choose which one you want to comment on this from. I'll share how you can communicate with me at the end of this video. Thank you again, and you'll be hearing from me soon. I will explain in my next video why I had been putting this off when I talk about long COVID. That is another burning topic that I want to talk about, that is not being talked about enough, if at all. Thank you. Take care. Happy Father's Day 2022 to all the fathers out there. The ones pulling their weight, the ones that are not pulling their weight. I pray that at some point all fathers are going to be fathers in the full sense of the title father. Take care and God bless. Bye bye.